Hello, everyone. This is Coach Clayton, and this is my Women's Empowerment Interview episode. And today we have Juliette. Hi, Juliette. And as our guest, and she is going to discuss her journey of overcoming personal and professional obstacles in her life. So welcome, Juliette.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I think that there's never enough of empowerment and self-empowerment for us women. So I'm just so happy to give my 2 cents and contribute to this show.
Yes, thank you, Juliette. Now, just to give you an idea, I'm an accountability coach, and I created this video podcast just to inspire women, somewhere for them to plug in each week to provide hope, because there's so much going on in this world. So I want to provide hope. So again, I want to thank you for spending the time to chat with me. So Juliette, let's just dive in. You know, you can let us know which way do you want to go, personal, professional. What are some of the obstacles that you had to overcome, Juliette?
This is so exciting because when I was thinking, what can I share? I will be honest with you. I am the master level of manifestation of your dreams. And it sounds like super exciting, but really it's like everyday stuff. But all my dreams that I've had in my personal life have come true. But what I want to talk about today a little bit is much more about the bridge between my personal life and my professional life, because a lot of my personal dreams became true because I leaned into who I was and empowered myself to show up, be more visible online and create, I'm a coach, I'm a visibility coach, I should say that. And so the whole thing about online visibility, ever since I had my first computer, I remember it was 1996, I was 20 years old. I bought this computer and I dialed in, that long music tone, and then we were online, and I thought, oh my God, this is how whatever you have to say, whatever you're doing, you can spread the word and you can empower others. Whoever needs out there, they don't have to be in your geographical location and see you and meet you and know you in order for them to get that energy. And that can just, that domino effect that will inspire them to take maybe a small action, but that small action can take interesting turn in their lives. And so I've been building visibility for me first as a singer in a band, and I was into dressmaking. I had a fashion blog. I've been helping people and projects around me until I finally created my business in 2012. And when I created my business, I was working with local people, and I really was doing the opposite of what my dream was, which was freedom and flexibility and being able, to call the shots.
Exactly.
And somehow, when I started my business, a lot of this energy of lack came in to play in my mind. So, working with people, not thinking about who I'm working with, what do they actually expect of me, and how much should I be giving, especially for the compensation, and not working, on bending backwards just so they like me and just so they keep me on board, or just so, and operating from that real scary, really disempowered stance. And I've been in that mess of a mindset in a way for about 5 years when I started my business. And I found myself working with people who were so misaligned that on a personal level, it was the opposite of what you want to do when you create your business and you're saying, I have a business. And I was helping people with Facebook and with digital marketing. And I said, I run a digital marketing agency, but really I was a glorified employee that was being treated in a way that no way with the same respect from one business owner to the other business owner. And it became really painful, because what happens when you're working with people who don't appreciate you is that you develop a fear of promoting yourself, of finding other people, because you don't want to add to this pool of people who already disrespect you. You're kind of afraid that you think that this is how it is. You think that this is how you're supposed to be treated, and you have to bend backwards, and you have to work 24/7, and you have to constantly prove your worth, even though a person on the other receiving end doesn't even understand what you're doing.
Juliette, let me stop you
Yes.
here because this is very important. And I love this right here because there's so many women that are watching this that are in that same predicament, thinking that they have to bend over backwards. They have to work with misaligned customers. What was the breaking point and how did you get out of that path, that toxic pattern?
I think I really actually vividly remember the moment when there was a big aha moment. I followed, and I don't even remember at this stage what coach it was, but I came to this world of online coaching and I saw this coach, and one of her customers said something like, oh, I only now, after 8 years running my business, I realized that I have never run my business, that I was a glorified employee. This is where I got this saying that I am not in control. And when she said that I am not in control, I realized that I was not in control, that I was completely dependent on these people, and I was desperately grabbing onto them instead of being in a position of power and creating this magnetic pull for them to want to be with me, you know, for them to appreciate what I'm bringing on board into their businesses, which was a lot. And I think that moment made me feel so, it just was a very sobering moment for me. It made me feel that I'm actually just lying to myself all the time. I am not focusing on things that matter to me. And I constantly put myself on the back burner and my needs and my priorities. And so my life is on the standstill. I was living in a place that I didn't like. I felt stuck, and you know, and things, because when you feel a certain way, there will be proof coming from the universe that you are stuck, that you are living in the wrong place, you know, so you're getting more reason to feel stuck. And that was such a boiling point for me that I just needed to do something. And because I don't like commuting, and I thought, okay, how can I do it in a way that will benefit me? I was working, I mentioned, with Facebook and digital marketing, and I saw very clearly that if I start promoting myself, say, on my business page on Facebook, it's like shouting out to the world, but you're in the room with the closed doors and closed windows. Nobody can hear you. So I did a very bold thing. I started promoting myself on my personal profile. I started building, you know, big audiences, and with one hope: to find more aligned people who see me for who I am. And so I don't have to be proving myself all the time. So I can just share in a very calm and empowered way what I have, you know, my vision, contribute to them in a way that I can contribute, without feeling that I'm stuck or trapped, or all those negative feelings that were contributing to more anxiety. And it took a while. Obviously, everything, you know, we are sometimes talking about all these highlights, and it took me a few years, you know. Right now it's the year 6 of my online visibility journey. And within the first year, there was a lot of magic that started happening, because when you are taking something, a bold move, allowing yourself to be more visible, allowing yourself to feel a little bit exposed, a little bit vulnerable sometimes in the beginning, but still having that vision. And my vision was to live the life that I enjoy, to be in a place where I enjoy it, to be able to call the shots and say who I'm working with, when I'm working, you know, being completely in control and not dependent on anyone but myself. And even if things don't work out, I knew that it was my responsibility. That's what I wanted. I wanted to take responsibility, no matter how scary it was. And it took a while, and it took a lot of trials and you know, experiencing things, because if you're a coach, or if you have any business that you want to promote yourself online, you're going into this industry of a complete noisy advice giving world.
See, this is the thing, okay? Because I work with a lot of people and have interviewed a lot of people who are coaches. And one thing that resonates with me, what you said, is that you are screaming into an already loud world. So what are some of the key components to being found? You know, because I know that a lot of coaches are looking for clients, and it's hard for them to find clients because there's so many people vying for their attention, you know?
Well, there's 2 ways to look at it. First of all, you're screaming into the world of the noisy world, right? And you want to be heard. And I will, you know, give you a good analogy to maybe how to see this. But also, you're in the world that half of it is screaming at you and wants you as a client. And in itself, it becomes very tricky to navigate. It's like a storm you're navigating there, because, so much, you're getting so much attention of a wrong kind as well, because you're just in that industry where people online are looking for clients online. So let's talk first about how to get noticed in the noisy world. And I think the analogy here is, a lot of people, what they do is they think that if they post something, that the world stops and looks at them.
Yes.
But it doesn't happen, right? It's much more, if you imagine, for example, imagine New York, Times Square, how many people there, and you're a street musician and you're there with your guitar and you just start playing. How many, like, are they gonna all stop and look at you? No, you're probably gonna be very good. Secondly, sing a song that's kind of nice song, right? So, not sort of some sort of average thing. So you have to catch the attention, and then not everyone will stop. Those people who like you will stop. Those people who find you magnetic, you attractive, for whatever reason it is for them, and for different people it's different reasons. So one of the secrets to showing up is really to sort of fall into, first of all, not to sort of, but to discover what are your strengths. And the way to discover it is also to feel, where are you in your energetic power? Where are you feeling powerful? Let's just step away from like the stage fright a little bit, when we're feeling vulnerable, exposing, but what do you love doing? Do you love writing? Do you love talking with a best friend, with someone, who and you're comfortable with? What are the ways that you express yourself that are things where you feel energetically powerful, that either light you up, or maybe you're in your zone? And these are the things that in your marketing you should focus on. And in fact, I'm going to go one step further. And I think that those are the only things you should be focusing on. And everything that energetically misaligns you, you'd have to find a way to either outsource or remove from the way you're running your business. Because small little things that annoy you will take all the power that you have to pour into the things that you love doing. That's the problem. And so that's one thing. And the other thing as well is to remember that, for example, if you are a musician, let's go back with this same analogy, but you are filling a venue, people are coming there and paying in to see you. The attitude of that crowd is completely different to the attitude of the strangers in the street, right? So we have to understand that when we're starting to promote ourselves, say, for example, on Facebook, that's the way I do it. This is a little bit of a street vibe. So you need to stick to your song, stick to your vibe, and just don't mind if somebody doesn't stop, and somebody will stop if you continue your visibility in a consistent way and you expand your audience. You need to bring new people, because the more people come into your audience, the more chances that there are people who will like what they have to see to get from you. But there's another thing that's empowering. Let's talk about empowering thing, that no matter if there is 1,000 other visibility strategists out there and we all do the same thing, you will go with me if you like me on a personal level. If you vibe with me, you're going to choose me. And that means that there's no competition in a coaching world.
I love that. Oh, I love that. Because there isn't competition, because you're unique. You're unique to yourself, period.
Exactly.
And the only thing that you have to do is be yourself,
Exactly.
and then the right people will gravitate to you. I love that.
And some people say it's harder to do than what you're saying, but actually it isn't, because you can be very strategic in what you're showing. I'm an extreme introvert. I know you're not going to believe
no way,
but I'm an introvert.
I don't believe it, Juliette.
I honestly, I am an introvert. And, there's a big difference between being an introvert and being shy. Shyness, and a lot of people confuse these two terms, but introvert is just basically about your energetics. So right now I'm giving it, I'm in the zone. But after this interview is over, I'm going to be a veg for about an hour, because I will have to recharge. So this is exactly what the introverts are, right? And actually a lot of visibility, a lot of very visible people, actors, politicians, they're actually introverts, because they sparkle when they're in the zone, in front of the right audience, in the spotlight. but then
Mhm.
they'll have to retreat and they have to recharge, right? So if you're introvert, it's still possible to be very visible. By the way, they branded me the queen of visibility for the consistency and the bright visibility that I've had maybe in the second year of my journey. So if it's possible for me, and I am not consistent in the real life, if possible for me, it's possible for everyone. One of the little secrets that I've discovered, and I've only discovered it a couple of years ago, now I use it in my business, is human design. Have you heard about human design?
No, tell me more about it, Juliette.
I will tell you a little bit because we don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Human design, it's an esoteric concept. It has its roots in astrology and a little bit of Kabbalah and a little bit of I Ching, the 64 hexagrams. And it's basically a profiling system, like a personality test based on the time and the date of your birth. And the planetary alignment and, the different definitions that you have in your design. So the concept is that we have all the energies possible, but some things we broadcast to the world, and those are the things that are determined by when we're born. And then some things we're sampling and magnifying and amplifying into, the universe as well. So there is the openness that we have. And based on there's different types, based on the type that you are, there is a certain strategy for you to follow, to make the right decisions and to know what's right and correct for you, not to think of it through your mind, which is here like a noisy passenger, trying to derail you, like a 3-year-old, throwing a tantrum in the car. You wouldn't let it drive, right? You would have it to put them in the back and love it still, but you will be the one in the driving seat. So with human design, it's great because it gives you this compass, depending on your type, what way can you actually live your life or run your business, and that this way is correct. I'll give you a couple of examples. For example, one of the biggest segment, the biggest type, are generators. And generators, they have a sacral chakra always defined, which means that they have this GPS inside their belly that physically reacts when the universe on the outside presents them a cue that something is correct, and they just light up or feel these butterflies or bubbles. People feel it kind of a little bit differently, but it's a physical, literally almost metallic feeling. So your strategy is just to respond to the universe. How amazing. You're co-creating constantly. You don't need to, even if you have an idea, if you act on this idea, sometimes this could be coming from your mind and there was no proof, no sort of like a nod from, yes, this is it for you. And you didn't respond to this sign from the outside. And so you're working on this, and it's just frustrating you because it's not going anywhere. There's just no support in this. And yet, if maybe you heard somebody discussing something and you just lit up and you knew that this is the right thing for you, and you start building, say if you're a coach, start building a program to offer something that you saw on the outside of you, that has a universal support. That will be more aligned with who you are. It will attract people who will make you activate that magnetism.
So tell me, so how would we find out about the human design? Is that like that's what it's called? It's an actual test called human design?
It's not a test, but you can generate a free chart. And yes, I can definitely give you a link to where you can generate a chart. But although even if you go to Google and you say human design free chart, if you need to know your date of birth, and not time of birth. Of course, your date of birth, but you do kind of need to know your time of birth for the accurate, because it is really important moment. And what it does, it gives you this chart which shows what parts you have defined and what parts you have. Now, here's the bad news. Human design doesn't have a shallow end. It has only deep end. So the way is it can be a little bit overwhelming in the beginning when you're looking at that. But then the good news is that to align your life and your business, all you really need to know and then learn about is your type and what strategy you have in life, like I just described. And also the next thing is your authority, and we have all different authorities. What in your body indicates that this is the right thing for you to do? Or maybe, there's half of the world have emotional authority, which means that they have these emotional waves that they're serving all the time. So for these people, they just need to wait out until they have emotional clarity and see if that lighting feeling, or that works. I'm a projector, different type, so for me I have to be invited into most important things, not into everything. That doesn't mean that I have to be completely inactive. I take so much inspired action, but if I am to give advice, because my aura, it's all about your aura and the shape of the aura. In a projector, the aura is very laser focused. It's like I'm scanning the person I'm with. I'm very good at one-on-one, and I can scan and I feel and I see some things that maybe you don't see.
Do you feel that you can see through people? Like you just a little while with them and you can see through like intentions.
It's not even a see. This is my third eye here behind me. It's like, I just know.
That's me.
I just know. And sometimes I can't explain why, but I know what they should be doing. And it's so funny. Some people resist it and then they start doing it. And I'm saying, told you so last year. You didn't want it, but that's exactly, it's just this knowing. And I mean, we could be different type actually still have that thing, because I think you come to the intuition through different channels. But this is one of the things. And then for me, waiting for invitations means if I try and give you advice, but you didn't ask for it, you're gonna push me back. Okay. I'm gonna feel resistance. I have to be invited with this energy to be, seen and recognized for who I am, and see how it brings back to the story I told you in the beginning, how I felt so disempowered because people didn't see me for who I was. I was just one of those people who can run their Facebook page, and I was cheap enough, or whatever the reason they were giving. It wasn't, I didn't feel it was about me. I felt like it was, and I didn't feel seen and recognized and appreciated. And that's for my type is really important. So human design, I actually simplified a little bit. I have a little free training. It's about 15 minutes, 3 small videos about human design. There's a link to do your free chart and how you can apply this in your business. And you can apply that to any strategy that you want to try, because it's not about, it's not like a cookie cutter strategy, this is what I really love. We're putting these labels like generators, projectors, but actually they're not to put you in the box.
And that's important, Juliette, that's important, because if people can start out with this human design, and I know for some of you all, it may seem woo-woo, like how are people supposed to know me, but it is something to start out with, to really figure out what your strengths are. How do you really operate? So then you can operate out of strength, So I think that that's very, very, very important. Now, Juliette, we're going towards the end, and I really want to talk about your business and what you do, because I think that that's so important. There's a need for it. So tell us a little bit about your business and what you do.
Well, as I mentioned, I'm a visibility strategist, and I help coaches and experts show up online. Most of us use Facebook. We use our personal profile, following my lead, using our personal profile, but we're focusing on magnetic content. Human design gives us a little bit of a clue which type of content can make us magnetic, which is really cool, because I'm 6 years in this online visibility business and 4 years without human design and 2 years with an experiment for myself, because it's an experiment. There's no black and white. You can just, try things out. And by the way, you mentioned woo-woo. It took me maybe a year to step out of my woo-woo closet and say, guys, I am going to do this. I feel like there's a calling. I was so afraid. But actually, if you like personality tests, you will love this. So that's as much, you don't need to go deep. But what we do is we focus on this content that attracts the correct people. And it's so amazing, because sometimes you would not realize what type of content for you makes you magnetic. For example, for me, I have this very self-absorbed type and a profile by human design. And up until I found out about it, I thought, why am I always talking about myself? Isn't it so bad that I'm just always talking about myself? But apparently, this is how I serve the world. By processing it all from within and then sharing. How does this show in business? I can create a lot of content with my insights. So sharing on podcasts, writing articles, and I have been, working on my publicity visibility. I now contribute to Entrepreneur, been featured on Forbes. This is the way how, you can share even personal stuff. And every time I submit an article, I always think, oh, they're not going to publish this. This is all I, and it's all about me. And yet this is exactly what works.
Do you teach women how to do that as well in your program? Oh.
Yes, yeah. I actually have a mentorship program. It's a 12-month mentorship program for visibility. And it's not like you have to learn a lot of modules and things like that. We serve you all the information a la carte, but we mentor you, pushing you and being accountable for actually being visible. Because you know what, you can get stuck in the learning mode and not do anything. Or do wrong things and not things that actually work for you. And in the world of this screaming online world, and every coach is looking for other clients, and it's okay, we understand, but how do you choose what's aligned for you? Not what you should be doing, or what other people are doing. That's the worst thing to say. If it worked for them, it will work for me. What if they're different type? What if they have completely different energetics? They attract people differently. So you have to find yours. And that's where you have to self-empower yourself to become more visible, to lean into who you are, find and figure out your way, because there is no right and wrong. It's like this, there's thousands ways to come, thousands roads lead to Rome. The phrase, or this is the same. Find yours, and that will be the most aligned, the most beautiful, and the easiest, simplest. And you will then be able to achieve that balance, that the work is not constantly occupying your mind, and you can just lean into it and enjoy it. It becomes the life you enjoy. And isn't that a dream come true in itself?
That is, instead of thinking that like social media is a chore, like, oh my gosh, I have to figure out what to post. If you know what your strength is and what you like, what you actually like to post, it'll be much easier. So I love that. So how can we find you online, Juliette?
The best way is just come to my website, juliettestapleton.com. If you want to get that little free human design mini course, it's literally on the homepage. There's a few more little freebies that you might enjoy, how to use your personal profile, and a little bit from my visibility, how to stop the scroll. I have a whole summit interview. I begged, I did a really good one, so I can give that to you as well, just to inspire you to take that action and stop telling yourself things like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to post, because you're spending too much time thinking and actually not enough time doing. And it's only through doing you'll find the clarity, what works for you.
I love this. Juliette, what is your biggest takeaway that you want women to know? Takeaway advice.
Don't put a lid on who you are. You can always be much bigger. The person I am now is completely not the person I was in 2017 when I started this. And I love the person I am now so much more. So don't put a lid on it. Try and don't go too big a vision. Make a small vision and grow into it, like caterpillar kind of style. And then next bigger vision, what's the next bigger step? And it's so much easier to do that. And then you very soon you will feel like, how the lobsters grow in their shell, but the shell doesn't grow. You have to break that shell, which will be painful, right? And then you will be a bit exposed while the new shell is getting harder. So when you allow your journey to be this, to grow into bigger and bigger shells, and allow the period of vulnerability as well as you grow, you will. I don't even think I've scratched the surface of how big a person or a bigger woman or big in my visibility I can be. And that's very inspiring, even for me. So it's a good feeling. It feels like there is no limit. There is no limit.
I love it. Juliette, thank you for spending time to chat with me. Thank you.
It was such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.